Now, as I said before, Alex is going to have a report at the bottom of the hour about how the Democrats are fighting Trump. And I want you to understand how the Washington establishment, including Republicans, are fighting against Donald Trump. One of the things that the Washington Post points out, and I think this is very clear, we have become frustrated with the Republican Party. It's one of the reasons that Donald Trump succeeded, because we voted for Paul Ryan, we voted for Mitch McConnell and the rest of them. They promised us that they would follow certain policy proposals. We said we want the borders patrolled. We don't want Obamacare mandates and so forth and so on. We want you to cut taxes. We want you to cut spending in Washington. And they don't do it. And the Washington Post admits that. I think they say this very succinctly. Listen to this opening statement of this article. I say, if Republicans appeal the Affordable Care Act, that's Obamacare, they will have achieved something rare. Even when conservative policymakers have complete control of government, as Republicans will in Washington once Trump assumes the presidency, they have generally failed to eliminate major social programs after these programs have been established. Yeah, they fail to do what they said they're going to do. And we're going to take a look at Paul Ryan, because he is Exhibit A. This is a guy who has opposed Trump on ethics. He has opposed him on borders. He's opposed him on Buy American. And we're also going to take a look at how John Boehner left and immediately became a lobbyist. Now, I talked about Paul Ryan. I just mentioned this briefly. In so many different ways, we've seen articles coming out at the end of the last week and through the weekend with Paul Ryan saying, well, you know, I think this lobbying ban is a very dangerous proposal. I really don't think that we can do this lobbying ban that Donald Trump wants to do. What does he want to do? He wants to put a ban on people getting involved as lobbyists for 5 years, move it from 1 year to 5 years, I believe is what it is. He's going to lengthen it, and he's going to put a lifetime ban on lobbying for foreign governments. And now Paul Ryan is saying that's dangerous. Here's a good example of this, okay? As they oppose Donald Trump, it looks like they may oppose him on Buy American. That's been one of the focuses of the Trump campaign. And as The Hill pointed out last year, when they had a water infrastructure bill come up, it had a Buy American clause in there, and Paul Ryan led the opposition to get that stripped out. Why was it stripped out? Well, former Speaker Boehner had left in October, and this bill had come up 5 months later in March. And what did Boehner do? They worked, actually, he had foreign steel companies that tapped the lobbying firm that Boehner went to work for after he was Speaker of the House. So you got foreign steel companies going to a lobbying firm that employs John Boehner. And some of these are, guess what? A major Russian steel company came in and said, you know, we don't like that Buy American provision in there. Now, they got some facilities in the U.S. There's also a company called California Steel Industries that's owned by Japanese and Brazilian companies. Japanese steel company owns them. They hired the firm that John Boehner is with to take out the Buy American clause. Now, this is a couple of different issues. One of them is, do we really want the federal government building our infrastructure? I think that's a bad idea in the first place. But the other part of this shows how there is a revolving door between those who are power brokers going out and becoming lobbyists. And we have seen this from all of these former speakers, both Democrat and Republican. That's why it is so important to have to increase this so that you extend it from a 1-year ban to a 5-year ban. See, Paul Ryan says that's very dangerous because it would affect people like John Boehner, who put him in power, because John Boehner was already involved. His firm was already shutting down things immediately afterwards. And we also have, as the press, we talked about the press coming after Donald Trump and saying, no, look at these popularity polls. They're the lowest we've had for a president-elect. The way they spin the information that comes out. Of course, one of the other things that Paul Ryan did, and he was picked by the elitist to be the running mate for Mitt Romney. I'm sure he's looking at a presidential run in the future, and he is grooming himself for that. And we have the Washington Post saying, in a remarkable exchange, Paul Ryan exposes the cruelty of Trumpism because he comes after the idea that we should have borders, that we should have immigration laws.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to Infowars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. Infowars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You gonna sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you gonna be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action.